No, I'm just...
It's so good that you moved to New Zealand. I need to keep the time because it will be live streaming from 11:30. Maybe you can take some pictures tomorrow. Is it okay? Yeah, sorry, I just had to keep a time because it will be live streaming from this year. So, okay, so welcome to SIGGRAPH in Australasia. It's always like a full house like this, like every year. So thank you very much for coming. And every year we start with Animal Logic showreel, and we did a bit, but we couldn't really do right now because it shouldn't be live streaming for the copyright issue. So this time I will introduce our speakers, Nicole from Animal Logic Sydney, and Ken Anjyo from he's a SIGGRAPH Asia 2018 Tokyo Conference Chair, and Tomasz Bednarz, SIGGRAPH Asia 2019 Brisbane Conference Chair. Sorry, and Mark Berry is a manager of the Visualization Lab at Sunshine Coast University. Okay, so I will pass mic to Nick.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks a lot, June. As she mentioned, my name is Nick Hoare. I'm a senior recruiter from Animal Logic in Sydney. Such a great turnout. I've been telling people I'm talking at this presentation and that there's going to be about 20 people there. I severely underestimated the crowd, so thank you for turning up. Animal Logic, as you can see by our byline, we think we create great work, but the important thing is that we create that great work with great people. We have an incredible crew working for us in Sydney, and we're lucky enough to now have a presence here in Vancouver as well. Just to give you a bit of history about Animal Logic, we've been around for 27 years and we started in Sydney, which is where we still have a major facility, and we're very happy to now have a presence here in Vancouver as well. The two major production locations, Sydney and Vancouver, when we have a big show, it's happening either in Sydney or in Vancouver, and I'll talk a bit about the projects that we've currently got on in a moment. We do also have a very small pre-production studio in Los Angeles, which deals with a lot of our clients who are Hollywood-based, of course, doing development of projects before we go into full production. So we've worked on the Lego movies, which you're probably familiar with, starting with the Lego movie, and then Lego Batman and Lego Ninjago. Happy Feet, which incredibly went on to win the Academy Award for Best Animated Film that year. Peter Rabbit, which came out this year and has enjoyed a lot of success. The Legend of the Guardians, The Owls of Ga'Hoole, that's an animated film that maybe not as many people have heard of, but it's one that we're very proud of. We think some of the best work that we've done was on that project. And then a whole lot of visual effects projects too, 300, Knowing, House of Flying Daggers, etc. Sydney does both animated work, animated feature work and visual effects. Vancouver is specifically an animation house, so they won't do visual effects for the moment anyway. We continue to grow and we have a lot of really exciting projects coming up for us. currently, we're working on Lego 2, the sequel to the Lego movie. That's primarily being made here in Vancouver, but Sydney is in fact doing a small part of the work as well. Back in Sydney, we're also doing visual effects on Captain Marvel, which is the next big Marvel show to come out, and that's releasing in March of next year. Peter Rabbit 2 has been announced, which is great. We don't yet have a release date for that, but keep an eye and an ear out for that. And we have a whole lot of other stuff in development at the moment. I can't tell you about any of that, unfortunately, but again, as that stuff is confirmed, you'll hear about it in the press. The stuff I can talk about, the announcements I can talk about, Animal Logic Entertainment is our development arm. And we have recently announced that Animal Logic Entertainment has partnered with Warner Brothers and Imagine Entertainment to co-develop, produce and finance a range of animated and hybrid family films. We've long worked with Warner Brothers. We have a great relationship with them and we're very happy to continue that relationship. But it's fantastic to now be working with Imagine Entertainment, to be working with a great filmmaker like Ron Howard, to produce some more family films in the future. We've also announced Truant Pictures. Truant Pictures is a sub-brand for Animal Logic Entertainment, so it's a separate development brand, and it's going to focus on more genre films. It's probably going to let us do stuff that's a bit more mature, maybe thrillers, maybe things that are a bit more adult, and that's great for us to kind of push our envelope, I guess. And I also wanted to talk about the University of Technology Sydney, or UTS's Animal Logic Academy, ALA. They're currently taking applications for their 2019 cohort for their Master of Animation and Visualisation. Animal Logic Academy obviously carries our name, but they are a separate identity, a separate institution, one that we're very closely associated with. We give them as much support as we can, but they are part of the UTS brand. And ALA's Zoe Diamond will be down with us in the job fair at booth 19 if anyone's interested in finding out a bit more about Animal Logic Academy. And then just generally about the Australasian scene. As a company, we're really lucky to work along some really great studios in Australia in particular. Rising Sun Pictures down in Adelaide, Method, who are based in Melbourne, Luma, who are also based in Melbourne, Weta, who are not in Australia, of course, they're just across in New Zealand, but a short way away. And soon The Mill are going to be establishing themselves in Adelaide as well. And there's some really great smaller studios as well doing a lot of the television work, a lot of the car commercial work, companies like Slate, Cutting Edge, 6040, Z-Space, etc. And we're also very fortunate to have some world-class teaching institutions in the region. So just within Sydney alone, UTS, I've mentioned Animal Logic Academy, but they also have a separate animation course. Enmore Design Centre, who was, I think, perhaps the first institution in Australia to introduce a 3D animation course, and they continue to do some great work and turn out great graduates as well. The Academy of Interactive Entertainment, the University of New South Wales Art and Design, of which I'm a graduate, JMC, and they're just the ones in Sydney. So we're really lucky to have some fantastic courses that are turning out great graduates around Australasia. Talks that we've got happening at SIGGRAPH this year, we've kind of got a record number of animals here. 14 from the Sydney office and even more from the Vancouver office, and a great representation in presentations that are being made. Miles Green is going to be presenting Hair Today, Cloth Tomorrow, Automating Character Effects on Peter Rabbit this afternoon at 2 p.m. Luke Emrose and Roman Fedotov are going to be presenting Simulating Woven Fabrics with Weave at 2:20 this afternoon. Daniel Heckenberg is presenting Pre-Lit Materials, Light Transport for Live Action Elements in Production Rendering, and that's on at 3 p.m. this afternoon, so there's a lot happening for us this afternoon. And then Alois Bailet is presenting Forging a New Animation Pipeline with USD on Tuesday at 11:05. And then finally, Luke Amrose is returning to present a course on path tracing in production on Wednesday. So hopefully you can make it along to some of those presentations. And then finally, I can't leave without telling you about what we need, and that's for people to come on board. We have a range of jobs, as you can see there, in both Sydney and Vancouver. We're down in the job fair at job booth number 19 on Tuesday and Wednesday. So come down and see us. I'll be joined by Jimmy Ockey, who's the recruiting supervisor here in Vancouver, and also Jessica Houston, who's the recruiting assistant here in Vancouver. So come and see us, and also Zoe Diamond, who will be joining us from Animal Logic Academy. Thanks a lot.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Anjyo. I'm the conference chair of SIGGRAPH Asia 2018 this year. And this year it will be held in Tokyo, so please come. And to persuade it, let me talk about SIGGRAPH Asia in this talk. And before that, I would also like to introduce my activities in New Zealand. So let me start with the first topic. So actually, I am the director of CIMIC, which is a new research center at Victoria University of Wellington, New Zealand. So CIMIC means Computational Media Innovation Center. And this center is quite new because it just started last January. And as you know, I'm also busy for SIGGRAPH Asia, so I'm always back and forth between two cities, Tokyo and Wellington. So, by the way, anyway, first I'd like to explain the goal of this new research center. First one is to develop an entrepreneurial pipeline. Just doing basic research, we want to establish a very nice pipeline from academic research to industry commercialization, such as making startup companies. And of course, some things should, sometimes we should start to make it, we should first start basic research. So we need such broader scope and good pipeline to make these things possible. And of course, relating to this, we will conduct research and prototyping. Prototyping is a very unique feature to be found in our new research center. To create novel media technology and IP things for commercialization. So this kind of a rough sketch of the pipeline. So starting from research incubation stage and something. So first of all, we'd like to find a very practical, important problems found only in industry, not in previous SIGGRAPH papers. So we start with working with our industry partners. So far, we have two big strong companies from Japan. One is OL Digital, which probably you would know the movie like Pokemon movies or some other things. And the other one is coming from Japanese game industry. It's called Luminous Productions, and they are famous for Final Fantasy 15. So because Luminous Production is formerly worked as a part of Square Enix, but now is established as a new company since last March. But still, they are working on Final Fantasy things. And with the discussions of with these companies, then we first find a very important and very hard problem to solve. So CIMIC will help them and work together to solve these problems. And of course, main basic research aspect will be done in the research lab at CIMIC. Then if we could kind of good correction of new techniques to solve practical issues, then we'd like to start making startup companies. So this kind of pipelines, we need a big help from not only from industry ecosystem, but also from academic ecosystem as well. So, for example, Thomas' team will, I hope they will join us to make these kind of things possible. So this is the kind of initial member, because the CIMIC is, you know, pretty new. Just we want to start from the scratch, so we need to find first the very small team. These people are kind of initial members. Me and TJ is a main researcher here, and also Jim Foley. Probably some of you know him as a kind of legend of computer graphics field from Georgia Tech, and our talented staff, and also 3 postdocs and prototype team members. So before I explain more details, let's enjoy our kind of promotion video. CIMIC means Computational Media Innovation Center. It's a new research center at Faculty of Engineering, Victoria University. The goal of CIMIC is to establish an entrepreneurial pipeline from academic research to industry commercialization. We'd like to achieve this goal by introducing national and international collaborations where do research, including computer graphics, computer vision, machine learning, and virtual and augmented reality.
Internationally, augmented reality, virtual reality, and computer animation are just, in some sense, sweeping the world. What excites me about CIMIC is there's some really great computer graphics here in Wellington between the things that TJ and others are doing here at the university, the WETA activities, they're just world class. And so being able to interact with the best people in the world is just very exciting to me. Wellington is, in many ways, the world's best kept secret in terms of the research going on here. WETA is, of course, very well known, but the quality research is not yet well known. I hope to change that.
So in order to provide practical solutions for industry, we need to understand industry problem. CIMIC staff have a strong industry background already in entertainment and ICT industry. CIMIC will make a strong industry and academic link to develop cutting-edge solutions to solve real industry problem.
So, and relating to SIGGRAPH this year, we'll have some demonstration from our CIMIC team. It's called DreamPrats. This is a kind of have a very big potential being a startup company. At this SIGGRAPH, they will join the program Real-Time Live. It will be held Tuesday evening. Then they will show some live branding techniques of virtual object into live streaming films. It's also made in 360 panoramic video. So please enjoy to join this real-time live performance. And next, let me briefly explain about SIGGRAPH Asia. The conference theme is crossover. And first, let me explain the venue of this conference. It will be held in the center of Tokyo. And the name of the facility is Tokyo International Forum, which is pretty close to Imperial Palace and JR Tokyo Station. Just taking 5 minutes walk from JR Tokyo Station. And this facility having these 5 different blocks, but we will use most of them except Hall A. And for example, the Hall C will show the electronic theater, and Hall E will be used for exhibitions. So pretty huge place. And maybe you could see, sorry, the map is too small, so let me skip that. So as usual, we have many programs for SIGGRAPH Asia. And this year also we need very new programs. So let me explain some of them. And also this year, fortunately, we have so many sponsors. Platinum sponsor is again Forum, which is also the platinum sponsor for last year's SIGGRAPH Asia. And for gold sponsors, we have 5 companies so far, and most of them coming from the Japanese game industry. And bronze sponsor also having some companies from game industry and Chizen University. And another good thing is to now is we can present the lineup of keynote speakers. It's pretty faster than previous years, I think. So first guy is coming from Jet Propulsion Laboratory. He will talk about the future of space technology and graphics. And the second speaker is Eric Domain, who is the MIT. He's a professor at MIT, and he's famous for origami scientist, but basically he's a mathematician. And the third one is Mr. Hayashi, is the kind of pioneer of robot technology in Japan. Probably some of you know the name of the robot, Pepper. He's a main guy to create that new kind of interface in the body as a robot. So he will show a new concept of robotic, his company's robot products. So this guy will give keynote talks. And also we have very interesting feature sessions like 8K technology and content session. So this year in Japan, early December, which is the same as the SIGGRAPH Asia period of time, 8K broadcasting starts in Japan. So this session reflects on this exciting moment and invites a hardware company and digital content making company to show the power of 8K technology. And also we have realistic humans panel session where we can invite film industry people like from Beta or from game industry in Japan. So some professor in robotics at Osaka University, they will give a talk about the future and current status of digital human and such things. Also, we have some topic kind of feature session inviting ILM and better digital people. And exhibitions, this is also good because we already have about around 70% of the exhibitor area is already booked. So we will have such very interesting and many variations of the exhibitors, such as these companies will show their cutting-edge technologies. Also, they are coming here, coming to SIGGRAPH Asia for getting new, talented young people to recruit. So probably you must enjoy these exhibitors sessions and exhibitions itself. And so please register online now. So please drop in this website. And all you got to do is valid until October 26th. So please join us and enjoy SIGGRAPH Asia 2018 in Tokyo. Thank you.
Yes, and we are very good friends as well. So.
Yeah. We are good friends too.
Okay, this is not full screen, I guess. Yeah, this okay. Cool. Okay, so my name is Tomasz Bednarz, and I'm the SIGGRAPH Asia 2019 conference chair. So following the SIGGRAPH Asia 2019 will be held in Brisbane in Australia, so following Ken's conference in Tokyo. So very, very happy to actually host it in Brisbane because we hope that every single Japanese person and every single person that comes to conference this year will come as well to following conference in Australia. So before I start, I wanted to proudly say we're showing actually logo is shown for the very first time publicly. So we put it on Twitter and stuff, but very first time, you can see it's a kangaroo, so it's representing Australia, and it's actually made of meshes, triangles, so it represents computer graphics. And as well, it has Australian colors, so it's like a green and gold. And we have as well Southern Cross representing down under. So I hope you recognize this logo from now on until the December next year as well. So I hope you like that. So a few words about myself. So I am currently Director and Head of Visualization at the Expanded Perception Interaction Center, which is at the UNSW Art and Design faculty. And I'm as well team leader in visual analytics at CSIRO Data 61, which is like the digital powerhouse for Australia. And as well adjunct associate professors at the QUT in Brisbane in applied and computational mathematics. I'm as well individual Kronos member. And I love being very, very heavy, like this international flavor. So I'm from Europe. I lived in Japan before, so I love having SIGGRAPH Asia coming to Japan before coming to Australia. I lived in US for some time and now in Australia for many, many years. And I have very international, so like my wife is Korean, so it's actually true international, like a spirit, I think. And as well, very, very old school demo scener. So if you are brave to stay after this sessions, we have demo scene sessions, we're gonna be making lots of noise. So stay and enjoy with us a bit of real-time computer graphics. That's gonna be as well like a spot-on session. And my demo scene was called Warlock, so you can call me Warlock or Tomasz if you wish. So I'll tell you a few words about Epicenter before we go to SIGGRAPH Asia. So Epicenter is High Performance Visualization Center, and what we're doing there is visual analytics on steroids, so using high performance visualization to solve very complex problems using visualizations and various interactive techniques. And I don't know why this is jumping straight away. We have like 4 very unique labs in Epicenter. So Epicylinder, which is currently the highest resolution cylindrical screen in the world. So it's almost 120 million pixels in 3D. We have Dome Lab, almost 7 meters in diameter, full dome, where you can actually visualize animations and enjoy the very complex sciences explained in a very simple way by using just animation and storytelling. Mixed reality labs, or something perhaps that Ken is doing in his labs as well, mixing various of VR and AR devices and trying to make sense of it. And AVSC, that's another lab that hosts another cylindrical screen with a motion capture lab. And we have supercomputers as well sitting underground. So we have like GPU cluster and CPU cluster to speed up some of our computations. So this is how it works. We have like 56 screens on Epicylinder, and that constitutes 120 million pixels in 3D almost. We have supercomputer you can see on the right-hand side. We use it for calculating very heavy mathematical equations, but as well we can defrost the cakes. So our software engineers sometimes are bringing frozen cakes, so we put them just at the back of the supercomputers, and we put some compute so they are ready before coffee is ready. And then we do a bunch of different projects. So I won't be talking much about this particular one. It's one of our core projects, which is looking at a huge amount of data coming from the genomics research. So if you are keen to hear a bit more, we have poster at SIGGRAPH Asia that will be presented on Wednesday. So come and see, and Dominic is sitting here. So Dominic was one of the core people in my team developing the project, so you can ask him questions if you're interested. So basically it's a combination of a large screen and very high resolution pixel real estate to browse genomics data sets. And we have like a mix of AR HoloLens in the mix to browse through the data sets as well. So it's very, very powerful how we do that. We do as well research in drugs discovery. So this particular project was with the collaborations with the School of Medicine, where we're looking at the single cell and we're using VR to get into the data and touch the points and try to discover the possible cure for the cancer. So if you have any questions about that, I can explain afterwards as well. And we do as well a couple of projects such as massive networks. So that was presented 2 days ago at the High Performance Graphics Conference, where we're trying to visualize networks of like 1 billion nodes. And this is heavily used, for instance, can be heavily used for immigration and border protections or cybersecurity, where you can actually browse through the data very, very quickly and discover different patterns and different correlations between different points in the network visualization points. We have as well a bit of, this is a bit like demo scene-ish scene, which is using fragment shaders. So for those of you who know like a shader toy, it's using one of the examples there, but we have the highest resolution shaders in the world, so 120 million pixels in 3D. It looks absolutely stunning. We are 20 minutes away from the Bondi Beach. We never go to Bondi because we can simulate the ocean just inside the epicylinder. Right, so super cool. And what else we have? We have as well hemispherical dome I mentioned. So it's very, very cool. We can lie underneath. So if you come to visit us, and feel free to do that anytime you are in Sydney, then you can lie under the dome and observe the animations that we visualize on the hemispherical dome. So now we are in Australia, so I wanted to show you in particular a couple of like features when you, like how many of you are from Australia? That's not many, okay, that's awesome. How many of you want to come to Australia next year? Not many, really. Look at this. So we have like those beautiful animals in the country, so it's very unique nature, as you know. So we have kangaroos, we have beautiful fishes, we have koalas, we have turtles, and so on. So if you like computer graphics, you can come and visit as well the nature. And hopefully we're going to be having, like usually at SIGGRAPH we have Stanford bunny, but maybe some of you will be brave enough to use some kind of kangaroo, meshed kangaroo, right? Next year and doing any kind of simulations. That will be super awesome. So the SIGGRAPH Asia will be in Brisbane. So this is like a snapshot of the Brisbane. So Brisbane is Australian New World city. And it's actually quite spectacular, and it's very similar in some way to Vancouver, in my opinion, because I always feel like Vancouver feels almost the same for some reason, I don't know. And this is like a view on the CBD and Brisbane River from the bird's view. And we have some, of course, Aboriginal people as well. They're having different festivals in the country. So this is like a snapshot shown from Laura Aboriginal Dance Festival. And at SIGGRAPH Asia, we will have all of that in a mix. So a bit of animals, a bit of you know, like Aboriginal dancing, hopefully, a bit of computer graphics, a bit of city, a bit of everything. So a couple of Brisbane fast facts. So Brisbane is on East Coast, and it's Australian, closest Australian capital city to Asia. So if you are from Asia, it's actually not too far to come along. And as well from US, it's not a big deal as well. And Europe, it's a bit long travel, but it's worth really. So seeing all these kangaroos, spiders, and snakes, right? So Brisbane is Australia's New World city, so 146 billion economy. It's a subtropical climate, so it's actually almost, we have like sunny weather, so I can predict that perhaps in November next year we can do barbecues almost every night, okay? So it should be like that. Well, sometimes, you know, like there are exceptions, but Mark can actually say it's true, right? Of course. So populations of 2.2 million, so it's quite a large city, and more than a quarter of Brisbane residents were born overseas, so it means Brisbane is very international, and you come to Brisbane, you're going to be feeling that. And it's as well research and innovation hub, so lots of actually startups are happening in Brisbane at the moment in the fields of life science, energy resources, food, agriculture, business, and advanced manufacturing as well. So I mentioned as well it's a close destination to many different, you know, locations. So it's 29 international destinations from the Brisbane airport, so direct connections. So New Zealand, Asia, you have direct connections from Vancouver if you're from Vancouver. And as well all over the place, and then some other cross connections as well, so it's not very hard. So when we're coming from Sydney, and 2 days ago we had to fly through Los Angeles, and from Los Angeles to Vancouver wasn't a big deal really, so it's not very far away from anywhere in the globe. And to close this, I wanted to show you, I don't want to talk much perhaps at the moment. We're going to be revealing that step by step. At the moment the focus is Tokyo, so I encourage everybody to come to Tokyo, talk to us in Tokyo about Brisbane as well, connect with us, and start planning your papers for Brisbane as well, okay, already, because it will be worth the game. Now I want to show you the animations which is coming from Brisbane marketing, and showing the promotions about the Brisbane, so you can see how Brisbane look like and how it feels. So hope you will enjoy that. Yeah, so I'm very serious. Start planning already because it's gonna be great experience. To tell you like a couple of words more, just I have 3 more slides, I promise, and I'm done. The convention center is very, very nicely located. And I can show you on the... okay, so the convention center is located in here, which is like along the south bank and the Brisbane River. So you can actually walk in here, and the city center is just in here. So it's like around 10 to 15 minutes walk, depending when you'll be staying, if you're going to be staying in one of the hotels in the city, or a couple of hotels around the place. We have actual art galleries precinct, so it's just across the street. So very, very convenient locations for doing all the touristy stuff, but as well being linked with the art, science, design, engineering, whatever you like to enjoy in Brisbane. And the convention center is actually quite spectacular as well. So in 2016, the convention center was awarded as a best convention center in the world. And I hope you're gonna enjoy that as well, because it's absolutely well organized, and you should have like enjoyable as well like feeling inside the convention center. And Ken presented a bit about the programs, and those are our programs that are upcoming. So very similar to Ken's program, we have very good alignment together with what we're trying to run. In Brisbane, we're trying to do some additional things that will be a bit different. So on the top of what Ken is doing in Tokyo, we'll be trying to do as well like demo scene event. So if you are a demo scener, we'll be trying to make sure that demo scene is part of the program. So it's going to be very interesting for those who are demo sceners, and you can start preparing your productions as well. So start writing the code already, because I hope they're going to be the competitions as well. And we'll be trying to run as well studio. So let's see how it happens. So that's it from me. And yeah, please come and join us next year. We're going to the same, yeah, sorry. We're going from the same laptop. Let's run it.
Thank you, Thomas. Good morning, or is it afternoon? I think it's afternoon now, so good afternoon. My name is Mark Barry. It's a little bit of a different pace for me, because I'm not going to talk about conferences. I'm not going to talk about giving you a job, although maybe. What I want to talk to you about is the visualisation facilities at the University of the Sunshine Coast. So if you do come to see Tomasz, I'm about an hour and a half north. And if you want to go surfing, then that's a good place to come and visit me on the Sunshine Coast. Okay, is that a good plug? Oh, if you also want to know about the Brisbane weather, I have lived there for about 40 years, so I can also tell you the good, bad and the ugly. All right, let's get on with this one. I think I can use that. All right, so in 2015, USC was happy to get a new building, and in that new building, the executive put themselves in an interesting position. They said, we want a world-class fancy visualisation facility. And they went, what's that? They then went on a major drive to find out what that was. In the end, we ended up with 3 facilities, or the order of that wasn't quite right. There is a visualisation studio which houses a cave too. So they eventually did find themselves to EVL in Chicago. They walked in and went, fantastic, that's exactly what we want. And they said to the guys there, what do you do with this? Who do you teach with this? And the guys at EVL, and my apologies if there are any in the audience, went, what do you mean? We're the computer science guys, we build this thing. What USC wanted was not a computer science, computer graphics environment. They wanted to actually teach all of their undergraduate programs with this thing. I think there were some stunned looks from the guys, but with the demos that they showed, the academics that went on that particular trip went, that's what we want. And as a consequence, we started to build content for this particular cave. And we stacked lots of people in it. That photo is really probably from an opening day, and there are far too many people in there to be learning anything specific, apart from having a bit of a wow factor. But in reality,
what we do in the environment is to take students on small journeys and allow them, or actually we design programs for them to, I suppose, learn something. It's all education driven. The goals are there. So that when you have a space like this, what's really important is that you can have multiple people looking in multiple directions simultaneously, in this case in the stereo environment. I think, I know that's the world we built. Or is it, no, that's the Viking village that Unity people provide. The fact that individuals can be in the same space, experiencing the same room, yet looking at different pieces of content is very, very vital in an education context. We can also do, and do actually a lot of things in this room in 2D. So unsurprisingly, quite a few students are not comfortable in 3D. They do feel motion sick, etc. But when you're trying to teach people things, the last thing you want is 10% of your class needing to leave the room because they can't handle the experience. So a lot of the things we do are actually in 2D. And I argue with people that it's still VR. Because once I start talking to people, asking people questions, and then in their statements later, they use words, I remember when we went such and such a place. Not, you showed me. When you change that subtle words, it means we've actually got them in that regards, whether it's 3D or 2D. So photos around campus, etc. This particular one that come up there at the bottom is a popular one. And really importantly, it's a panorama photo, but taken with a mobile phone. That means that our students can go out in the field themselves with the piece of technology that actually already probably 70% of them know how to use, and create content and bring it back and put that in part of their presentations. Sometimes it's a matter of sitting on the floor and going through a presentation. In that particular case, there were small videos. Yes, you could have played them on any projector in any space. The point being is that there were 7 of them spread around the room, and there was contextual things leading back to comments that were put into their lectures. This was a collage of 2D images. There's a program that the engineers do called Engineers Without Borders. And it puts a context for the engineers to put them into a developing world. These are the resources, these are the limitations. Just having pure collages of images around the room provides a different way. Some of those images are really quite curious because there's people in those images, but they're actual real size. You don't normally look at a photo standing on a wall beside you that's 1-to-1. That changes the dynamic about how you interpret those sorts of images. But there's also content that students create themselves. We use a piece of software called Meeting Canvas, but it enables us to actually grab a PowerPoint window and throw it up on the screen. It's a PowerPoint window that's 4 times wider than this one. So if I want to put that much information, my presentation, that I have a version of this that goes in the cave, it is very different to here because I've got so much more space. How many times have you sat in a presentation and said, go back a slide, I want to see that diagram again, or 2 slides? In an environment such as a cave, you can actually do that. You can present and keep that information visible. As I said, the students themselves, they really like to produce these things. You go, okay, what courses are these guys from? These ones are actually from sports event marketing. They are doing a case study presentation, but in a different way. These guys were marketing students. They were pitching a marketing program to a startup company called Wowcard. They used the space to present their idea. In the stereo world, we have walkthroughs, such as an African village, again associated with that Engineers Without Border program that I mentioned before. So small groups of students immersed in that environment about the technology. Now, is this the highest quality photorealistic graphics possible? No. Is that important in education? Sometimes, because it's sometimes nice to take questions away from people. At other times, you will need to make people focus on a particular thing. So sometimes we don't need the highest quality, and perhaps we have trouble doing it as well once you're doing it in a clustered environment. It could be a business walkthrough, so an architectural drawing. So this data would be coming perhaps from a building information management system and then imported. In this case, we're using Unity in our environment to present these things, and we've done that quite successfully. We have presentations for nursing students about nervous system and information leading them onto a case study. So in a lot of instances, particularly in nursing, but I'm sure in business and other places like that, a lot of the learning is about, let me tell you about this story. And here's the 10 pages, the 20 pages, read it with the diagrams. That sort of setting up of the data for a background can really lock out a lot of people. Some people are good at reading the information and assimilating that information. Others, presenting it visually, has a great effect. We have ones in science and cell biology, placing biology students into cells and focusing on the transport mechanisms of how things move in and out of cells. These experiences are in small groups, question-answer types of environments. We have done those en masse, 400 students in a matter of 2 days. It's a little bit like going to Disney World. 7 students come in for 7 minutes. They go through the spill. They come out and another group come in. It is possible with a bit of planning. We can do good ones. Computational fluid dynamics are really good for stereo. Things like this one, which was a custom-built one we did for midwifery students. And it was not about babies, it was about the placenta being birthed. And there are very few animations or documentaries about those sorts of things. In that particular case, not only did we have the visual, they brought in a bed with a mannequin on it. So the students were looking at the visual, the blow-up inside the thing, and then they were going over to the mannequin and doing the touchy-feely stuff that they do. It's interesting to observe this on the side. But it was a matter of going, that's the feel, that's what you're looking at. And that was very, very, very powerful. Corporate presentations, because caves, as Tomasz, I'm sure will find out if he hasn't already, are good for winning money. So when you want to try and present information about research projects or other things like that, it's a novel way to bring people in and get them to experience the data. If you're really challenged, you can sit at the desk surrounded by the thing and work. I thought this one was particularly interesting because the guys had a particular model. It's not very visible to you over here on the side here, but they had never seen this model at one time before, because on a computer screen it was either really small to the point where you couldn't see the connections, or you were zoomed in to the point where you couldn't see the hole. So you can do all those sorts of things. This was another application. Everything else that I've shown you up to date really has been single user control. So using Sage 2 from EVL and Lava Labs in Hawaii was an opportunity to set up, in this case, an anatomy quiz. And each of the students are using a mobile phone device as a pointer. So multiple users to make use of that stuff, which is a very different interactive environment, because that's probably one of our biggest complaints that we have about the other presentations are it's single person centric. whereas this was multi-user centric. In addition to that, and I'll very, very quickly slip through these, we have another room called a visualization studio. It has a 6x3 wall, which is effectively two 16:9 aspect ratios, and computers in it, which is a very useful room for group-based learning. And you can put the presentations up there. It is a touch wall. Unfortunately, a lot of our lecturers just put up the same PowerPoint twice. Anyway. But you can do a double-wide PowerPoint presentation. You can do stereo 3D because it has the same capability as the cave, so we create content there. I guess just to very, very quickly finish off, because I know we're running out of time, these facilities are really there, can enhance learning. They can be very much group-based, and this is a real critical thing for us, is that people, humans, learn best in groups. We work in groups, we have to interact in groups, so sharing experiences in groups is really, really important. Creating content for big screens is different. You have to challenge the way that you present the data. Will the novelty ever wear off? That's a very, very good question. We haven't been going long enough to know the answer to that. But in reality, we think that most of our students will probably get 1 or 2 experiences a semester, every six months or so. So we're not going to overload them too much. What about head-mounted displays? Yeah, I think they're great, but they're different. And I think that's the important point from my aspect is I want to teach people in groups. I don't want the individual experience. If you want the individual experience to enhance what you've learnt, that's fantastic. To really finish off, because I'm the educator, it's really important to remind people that just because you expose somebody to something fantastic, it doesn't mean they're going to learn what you want them to learn. Now, I appreciate in the entertainment industry, as long as you liked it, that was the goal. You liked it, and arguably you want more. In education, that's not the same thing. It's really important that your educational goals match what's there. So I guess the last 2 little bits, why do 3D stuff? Why do cave type experiences? Because experience drives learning, especially group experiences. When you share that experience with somebody else and you talk about it, you reflect on it later, that's really, really important. And I think it is for everybody, for everyone and every subject. It's not just science, it's business, it's in communication, it's everything. And that brings me to a blank slide.
Thank you very much for very interesting talk, Mark. And I met Mark first time at when he was at QUT.
Yes.
Yeah. Running the Auspice conference. So do you have any questions to any of presenters? We have about 7 minutes. Any questions to Mark, Tomasz, Ken? Really?
I'm curious about the master's program that you were discussing. Is it research-based, or is it more like extra learning beyond the bachelor's?
The focus is very much, and actually Zoe, who I think is still here, would probably be better suited to answering that. But the way the course is run, it's very much run as a studio. So people are coming in with individual skills and then learning to work as a group to actually produce work and find out what that whole process is about. Mm-hmm. So it's definitely building on. And Zoe has more to say. Oh, Daniel. Yeah.
Hi, we are working on the Academy. I didn't get a question. I could answer it.
I was just asking about the master's program and whether it was research-based or if it was more learning, or I guess it sounds production-based.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be classified as a master's by course, but it would be, technically speaking, it's not a master's by research. It's like practical. There's like research components to the study,
How long's a piece of string? Some of them can be as simple as that panorama photo, and that can be enough of a stimulus for, say, the event managers. They do observational research. So here's an event, what's going on, where are people placed, and things like that. So it can be as simple as that. The brief bit of the placenta part that I showed was probably more like concentrated, about a 3-month type of workflow. I only have a very small team of 2, so that constrains how much we work. But there's a lot of work going on there with the academics. They're creating the story, we're creating the content, and there's lots of toing and froing because the academics don't know what to ask, the animators and developers don't know the content, so there's needs to build up a real team and the best ways of presenting that, and what's possible and what's not. Yeah.
So if there is no more questions,
One last question to acknowledge. You guys still, for the output, like, you guys doing 4K, like, or like still 720 HD? Because I know for our knowledge, that's basically for the CGI, because I'm used to work a lot of like 4K and a lot of projects, and some arguments a lot of CGI effects, but I know it takes a long time to like textures and everything, so it's, you guys still like just doing full HD or like what's the film like?
Yeah, yeah, we haven't certainly haven't taken a step towards 8K yet. Unfortunately.
okay, so then we will close it in Australasia. Actually, there's a long queue for the demos in worldwide session. So if you want to stay for the next session, just keep your seat. Otherwise, you won't be able to keep your seat. So yeah, thank you very much for coming, and see you next year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, because you want to. I don't think.
About 5 times the amount of people that would fit on the show. There's no way. So,
Hey, how you doing?
hey,
Good to see you. Thanks for coming.
your marketing was way too good because there's 5 times the amount of people outside. Way good.
Oh, we cannot go outside, so basically they're closing the door. So guys, we have actually like too many of you love demo scene. That's awesome. However, the room has limited space. Though, if you don't want to squeeze in, we have YouTube channel, so the session is video streamed, so you can go and watch in the quiet space somewhere outside, or stay with us if there is like room for you. So it's up to you. What I wanted to show you, if you're gonna go, so you can see your video stream, so I can see myself, and if you're gonna look for demo scene worldwide and ACM SIGGRAPH 2018, you can find the video stream from the session. Okay, so I'm very, very sorry to say that we have actually to close the door because of the security reasons. And we cannot fit everybody, so I think next year we should have like a big room for that session because it looks to be very popular. Yeah. So how are you guys going with your laptops? Or?
Yes.
Your laptops, okay. So I start something like this to present it.
Where are we going? Are we going here or there?
We're going here. Are you going? You sit here, all of you.
The people sitting on the floor feel very much like a demo combo. Yeah, this is where. As long as no one takes off their trousers, they're very cool. So, chronological order, I guess.
Good to see you.
Yeah, thank you.
This is awesome. It's not ridiculous, it's awesome. It's awesome. You're going to run the session in Tokyo, right?
Yeah. Well done, Tomasz.
I'm going to give it like 1 or 2 more minutes so everybody settles a bit, and then we're going to start.
What's up? Like, are we moving to the desk when we talk, or?
Yes, okay. Is that okay?
Yeah, I guess so.
It's good because then I can see it. Otherwise I can't see it.
You want to see as well?
Yeah. I tried to watch the session as well. Okay, so let's kick off the session. So welcome to our demo scene session at SIGGRAPH Asia 2018. And we started demo scene Birds of the Feathers a couple of years ago. It was exactly the same situation. And there was like maybe 2 years, it wasn't like demo scene session like last year and the year before, but we're coming back, and we're coming back big. So we have actually 4 wonderful speakers, and I will kick off with a couple of words about what are the plans of demo scene and SIGGRAPH especially. So this is the outline of today's session. So we're gonna have 4 speakers, so Matt, then we're gonna have Julian, Johan, and then Kentaro. So they are all demo sceners, and they are all like the heart of the demo scene, so they're gonna be talking about their own experience with the demo scene and some of their productions. And the reasons why we have the session as well is that I want to have demo scene as a part of the SIGGRAPH, and my name is Tomasz Bednarz, and I'm the conference chair of SIGGRAPH Asia 2019, okay? So the SIGGRAPH Asia 2019 will be held in Australia, in Brisbane, and part of the program that I really want to have is to have demo scene officially in the SIGGRAPH program. And perhaps we'll need, I can already see we need to have the largest room for demo scene, which will be awesome. But if it happens you are a demo scener as well, one thing that I want to say, start working on your production already, okay? Because we're going to have competitions as well, and it's going to be part of SIGGRAPH program, of course. So should be fun. So tell you a bit more about myself as well, just a few words, is I'm the director and head of visualization at the Expanded Perception Interaction Center, which is located in Sydney at UNSW Art and Design, and as well leading the Epicenter, which is leading the visual analytics program in CSIRO Data 61. And I'm like international, so I'm demo scener as well, so I did a couple of productions in the old days. And I lived in Japan, I lived in Europe, I lived in US and Australia, so very international. So SIGGRAPH Asia will be as well very international. And this snapshot is from Epicenter. So Epicenter hosts the highest resolution screen in the world. It's 120 million pixels in 3D, okay? So it's the highest resolution. And for the same reasons, we can run actually the highest resolution fragment shaders on the screen. So this is highest resolution fragment shader, which runs on the Epicylinder, which is one of our systems. So system is built of 56 screens, cross-connected, it's cluster-based system with 28 computers to visualize the fragment shader. And we can simulate the ocean, right? So using fragment shader, very, very simple to do. If you do demo scene and fragment shaders, you know how it works. And this is one of the main reasons we never go to Bondi Beach, because it's too far, 20 minutes away. We can run it on our systems, right? So that's easy. And to tell you a bit more about, to close off and start the demo scene program, is the conference program, and SIGGRAPH Asia 2019 will include demo scene, as you can see. So it will be SA 2019 demo scene. So be ready for that. And show you 2 snapshots and 1 short video from Australia, and then we go to demo scene. So you can see one of the reasons to come to Australia for SIGGRAPH Asia will be demo scene, of course, but as well to explore the unique nature of Australia. So you have a couple of animals like kangaroos and so on. And then we have as well, Brisbane is a beautiful city to explore as well. And to close off, I will show you the video so you can see, and when we jump to Matt. Don't know what happened with the video. I hope it will play. Okay. Okay, so we're ready to kick off. So if you're coming to Tokyo this year as well to SIGGRAPH Asia, Xavier will be running Birds of the Feathers in Tokyo about demo scene. So we're planning towards that. And as I said, please start planning your trip to Australia as well. So Matt, ready to go? Yeah. Awesome. Let's do it. Which do you need HDMI? Oh.
HDMI.
That should be this one here.
Cool. Hello. So, is this working? Yes. Hey, so my name's Matt, and in the demo scene, I'm known as Smash of Fairlight, because everyone still uses Nicks like they're 14. So I only got a short time slot, so I'm going to just talk about one demo and one effect from one demo, and how we and why we did what we did, and some technical explanation, as this is SIGGRAPH.